Sometimes I run into this trap of needing to feel as though I know everything about a topic before I can help other people within that field of knowledge or expertise, whether that be, relationships, work, how to make money, how to live a life that is fulfilling and allows you to express your full capacity and your evolution. It bothers me a lot to not know how something works. And the interesting thing about self-inquiry is at the end of that, that quest, even though that's not an end, perhaps at the end of the rational, digging or the rational exploration, there is the unknown. All knowledge feathers off into the unknown. And so you're not quite going to find out how everything works, how life works, what you are really at the most fundamental level. And your understanding of what is always going to be evolving, always going to be deepening, always going to be expanding, always going to be more and more and more flavorful, if you allow it to be. And so this video is really about allowing yourself to not know, be able to sit and dwell and thrive, and you could say the dark light, the void, the mystery, whatever it is that you want to describe it as, the situation that we call life, and to be able to withstand it and be able to understand that, yes, you might not know everything about the thing that you want to know about. You're not going to know everything about the mystery, but you can certainly begin the process of relaying what information and what insight you can to other people. That is, of course, if you understand that your insight and the way that you can communicate it to other people is going to be incomplete in some way. It's like describing any process, really. It's incomplete. The description itself is incomplete. Your insight and your perception about whatever it is that you're talking about is incomplete. But that doesn't mean that it's not your truth from your perspective. So I guess what I'm saying is you have, in some sense, a obligation to share with other people what it is that you know, okay? However incomplete that may be. And I have to remind myself of that all the time. And in discussions, I remind people when I can and when it's appropriate that they too have something to share with the world at any point, at any time. That can be practical, it could be nonsensical, but it helps people, imagine a more fulfilling and more evolved version of themselves. So yes, it might not help them with something that they need to get done right now, but it helps them provide a trajectory or a point of arrival by which their imagination can pull them. And in that journey of trying to feel what it is that somebody else is describing, you can integrate it into yourself. Meaning, the metaphor is, I'm describing a vista or a landscape that I saw on the top of a mountain. You can either just take my story for what it is, or you can be intrigued and inspired to climb the mountain yourself. So when we talk about spiritual depths or spiritual altitudes, what we're just really talking about here is just insights that we are available to, or that we become, that we experience when certain aspects of ourselves are opened up or awakened. And so we can describe these things, but it is really for the other person to decide whether or not they want to and join on that exploration themselves, or if it's something that they just want to, listen to and hearsay and story and let it go as that. And that's not our job to decide what they do. But we can share what we can. And so what I do is I help people, I would say, discover who they are so that they can play that role in the world of being the messenger to the degree that they want to be. Or maybe they're not a messenger. Maybe they just live in their truth, and they live in their families, and they live amongst their coworkers and their peers, and they just do what they need to do, but with this heightened sense of awareness that just brings to the environment, that brings to the work environment, to the setting, an invigorated sense of well-being, an invigorated sense of self, an invigorated sense of the being that they are. And so that automatically in some way transmutes or transmits to other people when it's authentic, when it's who you are and you're just permeating your surroundings with that essence. And so it takes some work, it takes some trial, it takes some failures, it takes some misperceptions so that we can clarify what it is that we're actually seeing. There are many points of discernment in what we call reality. And so I help people do that. I help people discover where they are right now, discover where they think they want to be, and then we embark on a journey together, and we discover what happens and what we learn together and what we, discover along the way. There really isn't any particular path. All ways are the path. And if this sounds interesting to you, there is a link at the bottom below in the description that'll take you to a calendar where you can set up a time and we can see if we work well together, if we mesh well, if we communicate well together, if there's something that you need help with, whether that be in the field of work, relationships, self-inquiry, just as a topic in and of itself, if you want to discuss it as a philosophy so that it transmutes into some experiential reality to you. I love discussing the human condition in all facets, in all areas. And so if you'd like to work with me, let's take a phone call together and see if we mesh. I look forward to hearing from you. I hope you have a good one. Thank you.